Hi everyone, welcome to this video on understanding percentages from disruption learning. Now this is our second video on this topic, and this time we are going to learn some of the very basic yet the most important applications of percentages. And hence this video becomes a very important step, or probably the most important step towards learning the practical applications of this topic. So let's start the process of learning. Here we go. Now the first application is finding x% of y. We'll take an example to learn this step or to learn this application. So let's say someone asks you to find 10% of maybe 189. So we know that 10% is 10 by 100, and we are going to simply multiply this with the required number. So this is 10 by 100 into 189, and we know that this turns out to be 18.9. So plain and simple, nothing really tough or advanced in that. Let's take one more example of the same application, and this time we need to find 64% of, let's say, 300. So again, how do we do that? This is 64 by 100 multiplied by 300. This goes with this, and we know 64 into 3 is 192. So this is the most basic application, and I hope it is very easy too. So let's move ahead. Next is the finding out of application. We have done this in the first video too. So let's just begin. So for this example, let's assume that a student comes and he says, I've scored 440 out of the total 550 marks in a board's examination. So what is the percentage that he has got? So again, very simple. The marks scored are going to be the numerator. The base or the total is the denominator, and this is going to be multiplied with 100. So this goes like this, and 4 into 20 is 80%. Again, just like what we learned in the first video. Let's take one more example. This time A plus B plus C have 51 rupees in total. B alone has 34 rupees. So how do we know what percentage he's got? Again, his holding is the numerator, total is the denominator, and it is going to be multiplied by 100. So this goes on the table of 17. This turns out to be 200 by 3, which is 66.67%. Again, simple, plain and clear. Nothing very advanced in that. Now the next application is to increase a particular number by x%. So for this, let's assume that a student says that he has scored 130 marks in his first semester exams. Now he also says that he would increase his marks by 20% in the next semester. Right? Now, so how much of marks will he score in the second sem? So his current marks are 130. Now to imply the increase of 20%, we will take 100 plus 20 as the numerator, because there is an increase of 20, and we'll keep 100 as a numerator. So we know how to work this out. This would be 130 into 120 by 100. The zeros will get cancelled, and 13 into 12, we know that it's 130 plus 26, 156. That is our answer. Now we can use one more method, which is actually similar, but just another way of representing it. So we know that the marks are going to increase by 20%. So it is going to be 130 plus 20% of 130, right? So 20% of 130 can be calculated like this, right? You know that. So this is going to be again very similar to what we have done already, right? This is just another way of writing. The answer is still going to be the same. The process is actually also the same. Also, we can just directly write it as 130 into 120 by 10, right? 120 by 100, sorry. You do not need to do this step. You can directly write 130 into 120 by 100. Again, the answer would still be the same, of course, right? This is how you increase a particular number by any percent. Now, the quite opposite of the previous application is decrease by X%. Okay, so for this, let's assume that a company had sales of 600 crores in a year, right? In the next year, its sales decrease by 15%, right? So how do you find the sales amount in the next year? So again, this is going to be quite similar to what we have done already. So 600 into 100. This time we are going to decrease it by 15. The numerator is going to decrease by 15 and the denominator would still be the same. So 600 into 85 by 100. Again, we know how to solve that, and this would turn out to be 510. Also, quite similarly, you can directly say that it is 600 minus 15% of 600, just like we did in the last video. And this is going to be 15 by 100 into 600. Okay, so 600, this is 3, this is 20, this is 30. So 3 into 30, 600 minus 90, this is 510. Also, you can also write it as 600 into 85 by 100 directly. The answer is still going to be the same. So this is how you decrease a particular value by X%. Now, quite similar to the previous two slides, that is the increase and decrease, is the growth and decline concept. This is used more in the corporate world or defining GDP ratios and simple kind of growth and decline. We will take one example and its calculation is going to be quite similar as the last two slides. So let's say there is a currency called currency magic, right? It is currently valued at 200 rupees per unit. On day 1, its price increases by 5%. Now, we know how to deal with this. This is simply going to be 200 into 105 by 100. This would be 210, right? Quite similar to what we did in the last video. Now on day 2, its price decreases by 10%. Now, this thing would be taken as the base and we know what to do with this. This is going to be 90 by 100 and would simply turn out to be rupees 189. This is simply how you deal with growth and decline. This is again quite similar to the concept of increase by X% or decrease by Y%, right? And these are all the applications, all the basic applications of percentages that we need to know before moving on to the questions of it. Now we are going to have one more video based on the concepts, which is majorly going to be focused on the shortcuts for calculating percentages, and then we will move on to the questions. So that's it for today's video. Goodbye.